I'll have you sign it later, okay?
Another neighbor who I thought was coming, I don't see her yet.
I haven't got it. You know, I was actually going to text this. I don't know if I missed an event. Like, I don't remember hearing anything. So we have to, yeah, for sure. I actually meant to, I was thinking about that. Because he posted giving a talk at, I think, like, University of Connecticut or something. And, oh no, he'll love it. James loves it. He was reading All Me Amy the other night. It's always fun. Make up a mess. Swapping our bios. Our bios. I always my mom insisted that was the end. She swears he never would have finished the document. You open her house, she has a picture of it created it's a great
Hey, how's it going? I didn't see you sneak in. Yeah. Oh, no, that's there. Wait, we got them there. Just in case it
It's fine. You see him on his turn, and he comes out.
Yeah, you're totally
Sings.
So 6 on that side, you got 7 on this side.
This is the opposite of how are you? No, I know. We're worried about
Catherine.
Hello, everybody. I want to get started. We still have people coming in, but I know everyone is very anxious to celebrate Nancy's book. Thank you all for coming. I think one of the best things about being a community bookstore is that we can celebrate our community. Nancy has been with us since the very beginning, and it is like beyond my thrill to host her for her book that we have. I feel like we've helped birth this. I know you did all the work.
You are one of the midwives.
So, and we're so thrilled to have Henry Neff here tonight, also our local author and major fan of the bookstore. We are a fan of his as well, but you'll hear more about him for those of you who don't know him. But so tonight, Nancy Pi-Sunyer is our celebrant. She is a third-generation Montclarian, and after graduating from Montclair High School, she earned her degree in elementary education from Boston University, and then pursued a master's and doctorate in forest and natural resource planning at the University of Massachusetts Amherst. She spent a long career in environmental education, having worked at UMass, Penn State, and University of Florida. And after returning to Montclair, she taught science at Montclair Kimberly Academy for 13 years. Nancy dreamed of writing and illustrating a children's book ever since she was in college, and she spent years developing Mousekin, starting with note cards and ornaments, and exhibiting illustrations at the Montclair Art Museum before finally creating Mousekin's 12 Days of Christmas. Nancy has traveled the world, but is proud to call Montclair home and launch her book with us tonight here, and with all her friends and family and fans to celebrate. And in conversation with Nancy tonight is one of our very famous authors, Henry Neff, He's the author and illustrator of 7 fantasy novels for children, including the 5-book Tapestry series and a new novel for adults, which is Witchstone, which is a fun.
Very appropriate for Christmas.
Fun book. It's a very adult book, so we have a little mixed audience here tonight. But this was released last summer, and we had such a wonderful celebration with Henry. But the Witchstone, his work has received critical acclaim. He's won multiple awards, and he's been translated into nearly 20 languages around the world. And Henry lives in New Jersey, right here in our neighborhood, as does Nancy, with his wife, 2 sons, and a pair of rescue pups. So let's thank you both for sharing Nancy's book with us.
Thank you so much, and thank you, Margot. Thank you, Watchung Booksellers. So I'm just going to say a few words. Really, tonight is all about Nancy, and just in terms of just an overall view of the program. So Nancy is going to read a little bit from the book. We are going to have a little bit of a conversation where we discuss a few questions, and then what we really want to do is open it up to everybody else so that you can get your questions answered before Nancy signs your books. And when Margot was making her introductory remarks, she mentioned the word community. And that's the word that I've been thinking about as we've been getting ready for this evening, community. And I was reading an article just the other day in the New York Times talking about how community across this country has been fraying, that people don't get out of their houses anymore, they don't meet each other, they don't sit down, they don't talk, they don't get invested and involved in each other's lives. And I would just like to say that the turnout tonight is a strong rejoinder against that, right? We're all here because of Nancy. And we're all here because of Nancy and Louis going around the neighborhood and not just making an impact on my life and the life of my boys, but everybody here, as they've been sort of pillars of this community now for generations. And as Margot mentioned, this book has been a 60-year journey, and it has led us here tonight. And this is just one of those moments. I just want to have Nancy take a heartbeat here and just look around and think about where this moment has brought you and all the people here who love you. So this is a very special time, and I think we should just have a quick round of applause for Nancy. Before Nancy reads and shares with us a little bit about Mousekin and a little bit about the 12 Days of Christmas, I also want to give a special shout out to Lauren Cuter, who is here, who really, Lauren helped Nancy design the book and really pull this thing together. And I think it's fair to say that we wouldn't have such a beautiful product if Lauren hadn't donated a lot of her time and energy to making this happen. So thank you, Lauren. And now, without further ado, I would like to hand things off to Nancy Pi-Sunyer.
First, I need to say that I am overwhelmed.
Jonathan or Jonathan
You need to know, this is my son in Oregon. Jonathan. Jonathan. I'm just beginning the talk, my author talk on the book, and so there are everybody in the neighborhood, all my dog and now you're part of it. I love you, kiddo. I'll talk to you tomorrow. That was not planned. But I am totally overwhelmed at that are here today, from Henry and Danielle's sons, who I met before I met Henry, because they were walking a dog. So raise your hand if you're a dog friend. Raise your hand if you are a neighbor of Watchung's friend. Raise your hand if you're MKA friends and church friends and all the rest of you. I'm just totally overwhelmed and deeply touched that you all came out and that you're supporting me. And I just feel awesome. And I have to tell you that we wouldn't be here if Henry hadn't been mentoring me and pushing me to make this dream come true. Mousekin's 12 Days of Christmas, written and illustrated by Nancy Arny Pi-Sunyer. The 12 Days of Christmas is a traditional song of the holiday season. Mousekin is looking at it from a different point of view. He welcomes you to join this study of this seasonal favorite. On the first day of Christmas, Mousekin showed me a European partridge in a pear tree. Unusual, because they normally feed on the ground. On the second day of Christmas, Mousekin introduced me to 2 turtle doves. They're checking out an English holly tree and each other. The third day of Christmas, Mousekin and 3 French hens hung out together under the Christmas tree. Rowan berries, like Mousekin, are covered with ice and snow on the 4th day of Christmas. They make food for the collie birds. That's coaly, like black as coal. On the 5th day of Christmas, Mousekin flushed 5 golden ring-necked pheasants. Have you noticed it's birds again? Some folks think this verse is about rings, jewelry rings. That makes no sense to the story. So we go on from there to the 12th day of Christmas. Mousekin has counted down the 12th night. It's time for the festivities to begin. Lords and ladies will gather around the table for a feast. There will be music and dancing and games and gifts. It will be a late night for sleepy young mice. This page is my favorite picture. It's 12th night traditions. I'm not going to go through about the cake. We don't need to deal with that. But here's one part that I think you would be interested in here. Family and friends gather at the party to play games, like jumping over the candle to see if they will have good luck in the new year. They might also play a memory and forfeit game. In this game, one person starts the first line of the song. The next player must sing the first line and add the second line. Each player adds another line to the song. If a player doesn't remember the words, he or she has to give the last player a kiss or some small token to pay for their forgetfulness. So you and Mousekin's other friends won't have to pay a forfeit. On the following pages, you will find the words to the song as we sing it today. And there are several things that are different about it now than when it began at the beginning. Mousekin knows that gift giving used to be done on 12th night, not on Christmas. The very first Christmas gifts were from the 3 wise men, also known as the Magi or Kings. They brought gold and frankincense and myrrh to the baby Jesus in the stable where he was born. January 6th is the eve of Epiphany, the day the 3 wise men arrived to worship baby Jesus in Bethlehem. It's 12 days after Christmas, which is on December 25th. There's an old Scottish poem called The Yule Days that tells of a king who gives his lady gifts, including a partridge, geese, swans, and blackbirds called starlings. Mousekin is pretty sure that this is where some of the words to the 12 Days of Christmas came from. The words we sing now were first printed in a book in England in 1780. This children's book, called Mirth Without Mischief, included the words as a poem. In 1909, Frederick Austin, an English singer and composer, wrote this tune that we sing. There is a rumor that the song was a church school lesson in secret code. Mousekin knows this is not true. Another myth that is that it's all about birds. You can see that it's really all about Twelfth Night, the food, the games, and the gifts. Instead of the gifts the three wise men brought, Mousekin chooses to bring peace, joy, and love to the holiday and all the year ahead. Mousekin has come to the end once, Christmas has come to the end once more. It's 12th night, and it's time to undo the tree, to put away the trappings and wrappings of Christmas till next year. But don't pack away the joy, peace, and love that this season has brought. Keep Christmas in your hearts all year long. Love, Mousekin.
So, well, that was lovely. Thank you for sharing some of the book. And as you see, that this book it's a story, and it's also some lessons and some background about Twelfth Night and the original song, but also the holiday itself. And, as we're going to get into, Mousekin has been a character who's been with you for some time. But this is ultimately the book that we're celebrating tonight. And so I'm just curious how Twelfth Night is so special to you, and why you chose Twelfth Night and the 12 Days of Christmas to be the focus for this first of many books to come.
Your lips to God's ear. Mousekin ended up becoming part of the 12 Days of Christmas through the project that I call the Mouse Project. When I woke up on New Year's Day, January 1st, 2016, I decided that I needed to finally push into something that I had hoped to do for a long time, and that is write and illustrate books for children primarily. And so in order to be able to get the book written and published, I had a lot to learn. I attended a writing workshop, and one of the instructors there mentioned when I was showing him a book that I had that perhaps it would be a good idea to have a little mouse or something at the end of each page. You see its tail and its back feet, and then you want to turn the next page. It's called a page turner. And so I decided that I would take the guy's advice and create a page turner, and it was going to be a mouse, but I didn't know how to draw mice very well. This morning, when I was rooting through piles of things trying to decide what to bring, I found this sketchbook that I started, and this says, The Mouse Project, Day 1, January 1st, 2016. The goal, to draw, paint, or otherwise illustrate a mouse every day in 2016. As a mouse will probably be the page turn in my book, I think this will get me going for the year. And here is the picture of the first mouse. It's basically a skeleton of a mouse. As Henry said, I was starting at the foundation. This was the first mouse. Not quite so cute as the guy we're hanging around with these days. So I started the Mouse Project, and truly for a year, I drew a mouse every day. 2 days I was sick, the next day I drew 2 mice.
And what about 12th Night and the 12 Days of Christmas?
The 12 Days of
Why are these
Christmas.
so special to you?
Well, when I was a kid, my family was big into Christmas, And the 12 Days of Christmas song was one of the songs that we would sing when we were caroling or when we were celebrating or having a party. And I remember seeing a movie at the Bellevue Theater called The 12 Days of Christmas where they showed the true love bringing all the presents. And by the 12th day of Christmas, the girl that was getting them was enough. But it's a fun song that I've always wondered about some parts of it, like what's this Lord's a Leaping thing? And
Do you want to tell us what that is? Because I didn't know until I read the book.
well, I think you will find a lot of things that you didn't know before. And it's the Lord's a Leaping is, if you look at the page 10 Lords a Leaping, you see all these guys in 17th century garb, because this takes place in the 17th century, in case you haven't figured that out. And they're jumping over candles, and they're practicing for the game. And if you can jump over the candle without blowing it out, then you're going to have good luck in the year to come.
And so this was a traditional game that was played.
At 12th night.
And I'm going to admit something terribly embarrassing. I did not know what 12th night stood for.
Most people don't.
Do you want to share it with us? Because I really, when I was reading it, I was like, I don't even really know. I know I associated with Christmas and Yule. What the heck is Yule? And so it was all an education for me. So do you want to share it with us?
You'll understand it better. Okay. The 12 days of Christmas are the 12 days between December 25th and January 6th. And they are celebrated not so much these days, but it's the time, the period between the time that Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea and the time that the three wise men saw his star in the east and came to worship him. And they brought the gifts. And that's where the tradition of Christmas gifts came from. The three wise men bringing the gold, frankincense, and myrrh to baby Jesus.
Yeah, no, I learned a lot while reading this book, and it was clear to me, I mean, even if I didn't know you, and even if I hadn't seen your very impressive and daunting CV, I could have guessed that an educator, somebody who has spent some time in education, was involved in the making of this book. Do you want to talk a little bit about how your love of nature and really dedicating quite a bit of your life to nature informed the writing of this book and expanded upon people's understanding of the holiday?
Well, nature has been a major influence on my art from the start. I can remember painting a picture in kindergarten of Shelter Island, Sand Hill, and the beach. And that was a long time ago. But nature is something that's wonderful and beautiful, and I have always enjoyed drawing and journaling and coming up with illustrations to explain what I want my students to learn, and I illustrate pretty much anything that I work at. And that's I think it's the fact that the world is full of beauty and wonder, and the fact that I can sort of reproduce a little bit of it and show some wonder and beauty to other people is a really very nice feeling.
No, it's clear, and I mean the love of nature that you have comes through in the story and in your art. I want to open things up to questions from people in the audience, but I just have one more for you because it goes back to our history together. So as Nancy mentioned, my boys would walk the dogs around the neighborhood, and they would run into Nancy and Louie, and we really didn't know them yet. We just knew them as this lovely couple that you would see every day in the neighborhood, and they would stop and give our dogs treats. And that was sort of the introduction. But I always associated Nancy and Louie as a pair, as a couple come in through the neighborhood, sort of the guardian angels of the neighborhood. And I know Louis has been by your side throughout this whole process. And do you want to share a little bit about how he has supported and encouraged this project and your art and your creativity to bring this beautiful book to us today?
In so many ways. Luis is my art critic, and his responses are always, "That's beautiful, that's really nice, that's really lovely." He edits for me and finds lots of things that need editing, and has been a cheerleader to help me get this book done, because it has been a long time in coming and a lot of work, and doing the Mouse Project every day for a year, taking a couple of hours out of every day for 367 days, 366 days, because 2016 was a leap year. So, of course, I think the longest year. But he has, if I had been working all day doing writing or doing drawing, and it came to be 5 o'clock or 5:30, and Louis doesn't see any movement towards any kind of kitchen kind of things happening, he says, "Why don't we order in?" And he has been such a good sport about leaving whatever he's doing and supporting me, but he just has always been there for me. And we met on May 31st, I think it was, at the Upper Montclair Women's Club at a Boy Scout event. And we got married the following January 9th, 7 months, because we had so much in common, friends in common, some of whom are in this room, scouting in common, Watchung School in common, Montclair High School in common, and it was just meant to be, we really think. So there it is.
Every time my wife and I see Nancy and Louis, we always say relationship goals. They are a stalwart example for all of us. Well, at this point, we would love to open things up to if anybody has any questions for Nancy about the creation of the book, the story, her art, any and all.
I have a question.
Just one moment.
You think I need a microphone? Hi, Nancy. I'm so excited about this book. And, you know, I remember the Mousekin project, and I remember seeing it on Facebook, and I cherish the Christmas ornament that we have. The thing that I wanted to know, which sort of would, you know, lead us to this book, is during the Mousekin project, how did you decide each day what it was that Mousekin was going to explore or do or experience? Because I really found, you know, the evolution of that super fun and interesting.
A big part of it is the science thing, researching. And I learned fairly soon after I started the project that there's this really neat website called Holidays and Festivals or something like that. Make it loud. That's better. That's better.
We can do that in a minute.
Okay. There's this page on the internet called Festivals and Holidays or something like that. And every day is like 6 different things. You know, it may be the day that the Tootsie Roll was first rolled out. It may be National Wildlife Day. It may be National Donut Day. But there's a million things like that. And if I couldn't find anything amusing or inspiring on that page, then I would go to This Day in History on the internet and find out what happened on this day in history. You know, maybe it's Carl Sagan's birthday, or maybe it's the day Buzz Aldrin landed on the moon, or whatever. And then I would use that. And that worked for a while, but different other things came up, and I got into the habit of doing some series. I did 3 series or 4 series. One series of fine artists. You saw that one picture in the portfolio and you said that it looks like Van Gogh. That's my Van Gogh Mousekin. And on the table where the refreshments are, that's the Moreau Mousekin. And there's a Velasquez Mousekin and that's the 3 French hens that were part of the 12 Days of Christmas series. There was another series where I drew Mousekin with different, in the style of different artists of children's books. So, and sometimes it was somebody asked me to do it, and I ended up with doing a couple of commissions for people. They wanted to have a Mousekin that was doing something. Adriana.
How did you choose a mouse?
Because this instructor at the writing workshop that I went to down in Princeton suggested, when he was looking at the counting book that I was writing and trying to get put together and published, he suggested this idea of the page turner, that if you have something, and he said, like maybe a mouse, if only he knew what that led to. You're drawing the picture, the illustration, and then there's a mouse tail and its rear feet at the right corner. And that sort of makes you want to turn the page to see where's the mouse going. It's a thing in writing and illustrating. And that's how I picked the idea of the mouse. But I had a lot of work to do because I don't think I had ever drawn a mouse before.
You imagine if he suggested a centipede?
I'll pass.
I probably don't need a mic, but. So, quick question. So, four collie bird. It's not 4 calling birds. So it's not 4 calling birds.
That's the way we sing it now.
No, that's the way.
That's the way we sing it now. But when it was written in the poem, it was collie birds. Coal, black as coal.
Yeah. And second question, which is on the. Yeah, there they are.
Black as
4.
coal.
I would have thought they were calling, but that's okay. So, and the 5th day is the 5 golden rings, and that's not about rings. That is about pheasants.
Well, those are called ring-necked pheasants, and those are a particular subspecies that are golden ring-necked pheasants. And if you look at the song as a whole, where does jewelry come in?
It's a nice gift.
It makes no sense to what's going on. But if you look at it this way,
We're talking leaping lizard, leaping lords too.
that's a game that's played on 12th night.
I get that.
And the drummers are drumming, and the pipers are piping, and the milkmaids are getting milk to make custard and butter for the feast. And everything up to that point is something that they're eating for 12th night dinner. These are the things that they would have in feasts in those days. Partridges, doves, swans, calling blackbirds, 4 and 20 blackbirds baked in a pie. So the whole song, the 12 Days of Christmas, is a menu and a list of games and the entertainment. That's what it is. There's no room in there for gold rings.
My friend had a question here.
When you were drawing like a mouse for every day, how long did it take to draw the mouse?
Oh, that is a very good question. Life is busy, right? And sometimes there isn't enough time at the end of a day to do anything. So Some of my Mouskins, like the leap day Mouskins, took 15 minutes. Others took an hour. Some of them took 3 or 4 hours. Some of them, I needed to do a lot of research before I could even start drawing to figure out what I was going to draw, how I was going to draw it, what it was supposed to look like, and so forth. So it was very variable.
Anyone else? I think we're all very anxious to get our book signed and to get, and please help yourselves. Nancy brought all these beautiful treats, and help yourselves to those. And a bit of housekeeping, we will pull up these chairs first so that we can have a line here for Nancy to sign. And I think that's it.
Right.
Yeah.
We just want to thank everybody. We have flowers for Nancy. And thank you so much for coming out.
Henry and I talked about questions, and I wrote some answers that I knew I would never remember all of, but there was one thing that I did write that I wanted to share with all of you. And I had talked about the 51-day road trip, the 52-day road trip that Louie and I took in 2016. And as a result of that, 51 of the pictures of mice are in my journal instead of in the portfolio. But it's a blessing to me that Louie and I met. And it's a joy that we share our lives with one another and with our many friends, both two-footed and four-footed. So thank you for being here.
Thank you.